I'm gonna be reading some questions off the Reddit, just to help the people out. The first question on the Reddit is, how do you get from Ascendant to Immortal, or some tips to get from Ascendant to Immortal? There's no like tricks to just immediately jump to Immortal per se, but like if you already have the ability to hit Immortal, these things will help. One of the main things you're going to want to figure out is the mental. One of the most important things from like ranking up from like Immortal to higher Immortal, or from Ascendant to Immortal, or just the next rank in general, is your mental and how you process the game. So I would say the first thing to understand is, instead of trying to win the game, you should be trying to win each round. In regulation of the game, there's at most 24 rounds, and most games last about an hour. So if you're thinking about winning the game, you're thinking about a result that will happen an hour from when you start playing the game. So it's kind of pointless, and you're going to be getting yourself hyped up way too early, and you might start getting irritated when you're losing just basic rounds. This is going to be usually the reason why a lot of people lose their rank up games. It's because they're trying to win the game because they know what's about to happen if they win the game. And it kind of just messes them up trying to, of course, win each round, and then they end up losing the entire match. Just think about the rounds, go round by round, don't think about the outcome, and just play the game. Off of that, you have to understand, I would say getting a good understanding of the weak points on every map that's in the current rotation is very good. Say for example, on Haven, the weak points on that map is pivoting and making sure if you have a lurk that you can rotate fast. If you do not have that lurk that is taking space on another area of the map, then you're typically going to be having a worse attacker sided map. And it's the same for defense. If you do not have someone taking space on one side of the map, say they're not walking up C long and getting that information, you're going to have a lot harder of a time winning that map on either side. It's the same with Corrode. Mid is very, very important right now, especially since it's new, because of how easy it is just to get into the A site with the A split. So taking advantage of this on attack is very important, and it's the same on defense. Not fighting mid and giving mid control for free will typically lose you rounds, because one, the rotations on this map are horrible, and mid is the fastest point to where you can rotate from B to A, and in general just rotate faster. That's basically the most important thing. Also, paying attention to what util the enemy has, like especially ults, raise ults, viper ults. That'll typically tell you how to play the round and how they're gonna play the round, and so you can just try and counter that during the round. So just go round by round, and you should be able to eventually snowball and start winning more games just with that mindset shift. So this next one is, what is the worst rank to be hard stuck in? My personal opinion from my personal experience is Immortal, just because the egos are inflated, and people are both either really good or really bad, and everybody is just kind of a weird space because they want to get Radiant, but at the same time they're kind of content with the rank that they are. It's really annoying. But in my perspective in general, I would probably say around Plat to Diamond. Plat to Diamond is about above average for most players. I think average is about Gold to Silver. So being above average gives them a very, very large ego, and they think they're better than they really are. And it's kind of just an annoying dynamic to have to deal with, because no one in that rank is particularly that amazing, and there's a lot of conflicting information from understanding new things and trying to push old things in Valorant, such as like smoke locations and just other things in general. It's just a lot of misinformation, and a lot of people will take information from other plat players, and then they'll just have the wrong idea of Valorant as a whole, and it's kind of just annoying. That's what I believe. Plat and Diamond, whenever I play in those ranks with my friends, it is a really, really weird space, and I would much rather never be in those ranks ever again. This next one is, why is everybody an aim god in deathmatch? So the reason a lot of people in deathmatch are really good at aiming is because there's no pressure on them in the game, and then the way deathmatch operates is different. There's always constant information going in deathmatch, so you just always are ready for a fight. There's never a time when you're not particularly ready for a fight unless you just spawned in. And so getting headshots is really easy. They don't really have to worry about much else. They don't have to worry about util or multiple people fighting them per se. It's also really easy to isolate 1v1 fights. So just deathmatch is just generally a much easier environment to be able to focus on your fights. And so a lot worse players, elo wise, will just be able to kill you and one tap you. Also, Valorant isn't the like the mechanical skill gap is, there's a lot of it, but I wouldn't say it is the most of any game I've ever played. Usually the gap is going to be util usage and how you're able to navigate with all the chaos that's happening in the round, and how calm you are during that period of time. That's usually going to be the gap, in my opinion, for most players. And being able to keep the mechanical, like a high mechanical level during those chaotic times, is what will push you to a higher level than other players. That's my opinion though. And then the last question is, how much aim training to get radiant aim? So in my opinion, when you get to around the higher Immortal, like I would say around Immortal 3, around 200 300 RR, your aim is typically going, like your raw aim, and is typically going to be good enough for radiant. Now, but if you were if you were to start from the very beginning and trying to get radiant aim, I would say it would take thousands of hours, because from the perspective is, you have to understand that these radiant players and these pro players have tens of thousands of hours, not only in Valorant but in other FPS games. So they just have a lot of repetitions of just aiming and improving that aspect of their gameplay. And so if you're going to start from Iron, it is going to take you thousands of hours of not only playing the game, but also aim training. And it's almost mandatory, in my opinion, to be aim training, or to at least be working on your mechanics and like death matches and TDMs, to be able to get to the point where you have really good mechanics. But if I were to say what you should do to get to that point, I would say spam DMs. Death matches are really good to tell where you are mechanically. If you're able to consistently win DMs by just running around taking gunfights, I would say you are at least average mechanically, and you can focus on other things. If you are doing good in DMs consistently, like I would say at least 50% of the time you're winning, then I would say the reason you're not doing good is because your positioning and then the way you peek angles is really bad, as well as your crosshair placement. So you should try and analyze that in your gameplay. Try and take your time, and just try and be more aware of how you're taking fights, instead of you losing the fight because your aim is bad.